What are you as the government doing to ensure that the lives of these startup founders who are adding so much to our economy is made easier in terms of funding?
So first of all, I think these phraseologies of funding winter and Siberia and Minsk and all of this has to be no. It's a truth, but it is a phenomenon that is driven by a global trend of risk aversion, caused by first of all 2 years of this pandemic, and then at a time when nobody would ever thought in 2022 that Europe would see war after having seen two great wars. And if anybody wrote a book about the destructive abilities of war, Europe should write it. But they go to war again. And they create this whole havoc in the global economic system that creates a risk aversion. We are certainly in the tech space going through a significantly different period. And the difference here is that there is broadly risk aversion because of the uncertainty of what is going to be happen on the other side of this Russia-Ukraine, and this whole phenomenon of America going through inflation, UK going through 10% inflation, America having this hyper-inflated because of all the printing that they did during COVID. So nobody today is in a position to say what will the global economy be like in 2024. They are even now there is even now a reasonably clear lack of consensus whether US will go into recession or not. I mean, who would have thought the Silicon Valley Bank, who, by the way, I as a younger entrepreneur used to think this is the holy grail of banks, that it would go bust. And who would have thought the American financial system, which is seen to be the best regulated, strongest, best capitalized, would see a situation where all of the startups, Indian startups that were banking in SVB, in more than one occasion have called me and said, can you figure out a way to help us move to GIFT City banks? So this is all, we are living in very, very changing, new, challenging times. And therefore, I think there is a direct impact on risk and risk appetite vis-a-vis startups. I personally think it is a short-term phenomenon. Of course, short-term or long-term will depend on how this Russia-Ukraine thing will play out. But we are, as a government of India, encouraging more and more domestic sources of capital to step up and be available to our startup ecosystem. We have announced in the budget, in 2 budgets ago, and we are in the process of completing it, launching a Digital India Innovation Fund, which will also be available to invest in deep tech and other new emerging areas. We have set aside in the semicon package of 76,000 crores, almost 1,500 crores to invest in semicon design startups. So the government, wherever it is seeing an opportunity and seeing that capital flows are not as visible or as robust, is stepping up and complementing it with capital. 3 years ago, nobody would have ever thought a private equity player would invest in semicon startups in India. And I can tell you, report to you with great pride that now the large private funds are beginning to start investing in deep tech startups in India as well. So I would not completely characterize this as some sort of a funding winter. There is certainly a reset. And for those in this room who have seen the tech cycles in the past, and I have lived through 2000 and I've lived through many of these tech cycles in the mid 90s as well. What goes up is a truism in tech will necessarily correct. So these bubbles have a habit, these valuation bubbles have a habit of coming down to planet Earth very rapidly. I accept. I accept that that is an aberration, and I accept that we need to do more work on that issue. We have tried to do it with the Department of Revenue and tax authorities, and and I think we will get there. I don't want to today say, because this is all on the record, that it will happen on so and so date, but I certainly think that that is an area that we need more reforms in, and that is certainly something that Nirmala ji is aware of.